People say family is everything. But what if the very person meant to protect you becomes the one who destroys you? What if love turns into chains and loyalty into a prison? My name is Crystal. I'm 35 years old, and just a few weeks ago, I became a bride. But before I tell you about my wedding day, I need to tell you about my mother. Her name was Sara, and her pain became my pain. But her sacrifice became my strength. This story begins in the early 1980s in a bustling city in Nigeria. My father, Henry, was 27 years old, wealthy, well-connected. People bowed when they saw him. They brought him gifts. They sought his favor, but Henry was bitter. His legs and one arm were partially crippled from childhood polio. In a society that valued physical perfection, he felt diminished. And that bitterness would poison everything he touched. My mother, Sara, was just 16, fresh out of secondary school. Tall, with skin like midnight and a smile that could light up the darkest room. She had dreams bigger than her circumstances. She wanted to study medicine, to wear a white coat, to save lives, but dreams don't always survive poverty. Sara came from a large family that struggled to put food on the table, 9 children, a father who worked as a night guard, a mother who sold vegetables at the market. When Henry sent his people to ask for Sara's hand in marriage, her mother saw salvation. He's wealthy, Sara, and influential. You and your brothers will never go hungry again, her mother pleaded. But Mama, I want to go to school. I want to be a doctor. Oh, Sara, your children will go to school for you. Sometimes we must sacrifice our dreams so others can have theirs. Marry Henry for all of us. And so, at 16 years old, my mother sacrificed her future for her family. She married a man twice her age, a man she barely knew. Within 3 months, she was pregnant with me, and that's when the mask came off. My father's charm evaporated the moment the wedding was over. The man who had courted my mother's family with gifts and promises became a monster behind closed doors. Even while pregnant with me, my mother was forced to sleep in the kitchen. Not because there weren't enough rooms, but because Henry wanted his bedroom available for other women. My grandmother, Henry's mother, Grandma Soso, thought she was helping when she sent a house girl to assist my mother. What she didn't know was that Henry made that girl sleep in his bed, while my mother remained on the floor. The girl got pregnant. Grandma quietly took care of it. And everyone pretended it never happened, but it didn't stop there. My mother's own younger sister came to live with us so she could attend a better school. Henry slept with her too, then her cousin, then his own cousins when they visited, married neighbors, unmarried neighbors, the daughters of his colleagues. Everyone knew, but no one said a word because Henry had power. And in our community, power brought silence. Through all of this, my mother kept silent. Why? Because Henry's family was paying her siblings' school fees, feeding her parents, buying them a better house. She was trapped between her own suffering and her family's survival. Do you know what it's like to watch your mother become a ghost? To see her flinch when footsteps approach? To hear her whispering prayers in the kitchen at dawn, begging God for strength to face another day? And then there were the beatings. Henry didn't just cheat. He beat her. He would call out, "Sara, come here." And she never screamed, never fought back. Despite everything, my mother raised us beautifully. She taught me and my brothers to respect ourselves, to never let anyone trample on us the way she was trampled. She poured all her broken dreams into us, determined that we would have the life she never did. She became everything: maid, cook, nurse, driver, and prisoner. But to us, she was sunshine. She was safety. She was love. When I got into university at 17, I thought I had escaped. But trauma doesn't stay behind. It follows you like a shadow. I started drinking, smoking, chasing distractions, and when I got my first boyfriend, I found myself trapped in the same cycle. He hit me, and I stayed, because somewhere deep inside, I believed that's what love looked like. If he doesn't hit me, does he really love me? That's what my childhood taught me. One day, he beat me so badly I had to be hospitalized, broken ribs, a cracked cheekbone. When my mother came to the hospital, she didn't say, "I told you so." She just held my hand and cried, "Crystal, please, don't add to my pain. You're the one I'm hoping will make life easier for me. If you have challenges, talk to me. Don't drown like I did." I looked at her, this woman who had endured hell, and I asked the question I'd been afraid to ask my whole life. "Why don't you leave him?" She smiled. Not a happy smile, a tired one. "So you and your brothers can have the life I never had." At first, I resented her for being weak. I was angry that she chose to stay. But with time, I realized something. She wasn't weak. She was a warrior. Her silence had kept an entire family alive. Her sacrifice had given us opportunities she never had, but that didn't mean she had to keep suffering. As my brothers and I grew older, something shifted. We became her confidants. We became each other's therapists. The more we talked, the more my mother began to see herself clearly. The fog of abuse started to lift, and slowly, she began to live. For the first time in decades, I heard my mother laugh. Really laugh. Not the polite chuckle she gave guests, but a deep, rich, melodious laugh that came from her soul. Oh, Sara, the woman whose laughter brought sunshine. She started taking care of herself. She'd spend time styling her hair. She went out with friends. She made sure she looked her best. She stopped asking Henry for anything, not even permission. But she still took care of him, cooked his meals, kept the house. She just checked out emotionally. And Henry noticed. For the first time in their marriage, he couldn't control her. He grew paranoid. "Crystal, something is wrong with your mother. She's different. Tell me what's going on." But I stayed silent because I knew the truth. She had met someone, a younger doctor at the hospital where she volunteered, a kind man who saw her, really saw her, not as a maid or a punching bag, but as a woman worthy of love. He wanted her to leave Henry. He didn't care that she had 3 grown children. He just wanted her happy, and for the first time in 20 years, my mother had hope. She was ready to leave. She had a plan. She was going to wait until my youngest brother finished university, and then she would walk away. Freedom was so close she could taste it, but fate had other plans. The night before she planned to tell Henry she was leaving, my mother collapsed. Just fell. By the time the ambulance arrived, she was gone. I was at my NYS camp when my brothers called. I couldn't process it. My brain just stopped. How could she die on the very edge of freedom? How could she leave without saying goodbye? The burial was a blur. People called her a virtuous woman. They praised her patience, her endurance. They said she was a good wife. And I wanted to scream because my mother wasn't virtuous. She was trapped. She wasn't patient. She was broken. My father remarried within 6 months. As if she never existed, I left. I couldn't stay near him. At 22, I was an orphan with a living father. I tried to rebuild, but I carried scars. I fell into the arms of selfish men. I lost myself many times. It was my grandmother, Grandma Soso, who eventually stepped in. The same woman who enabled my father's abuse became our saving grace. She got my brothers good jobs. She supported me through therapy. She tried to make up for the years she stayed silent. People are complicated like that. And then, years later, I met him. Oboe. Tall, gentle, everything my father was not. He loved me like breathing, easy, natural, essential. A few weeks ago, I walked down the aisle. My brothers gave me away. Grandma Soso sat in the front row. And as I said my vows, I thought of my mother. I thought of her at 16, walking into a nightmare disguised as a marriage. I thought of her at 37, on the edge of freedom. I thought of all the dreams she sacrificed so I could have this moment, and I made a vow. Not just to Bobo, but to her. I vowed that my children will never know the fear I knew. That silence will not be our family legacy. That I will be half the woman my mother was in strength, but twice the woman she was in freedom. My mother, Sara, was more than her pain. She was love. She was sacrifice. She was a woman who gave everything so her children could have more, but her story taught me something crucial. Silence is not strength. Endurance is not love. And no woman should ever lose herself just to keep a home standing. So if you're listening to this story today, and you see yourself in it, I'm begging you. Don't stay in chains disguised as marriage. Don't bury your dreams for people who will never see your worth. Live. Love yourself. Choose yourself, because sacrifice should never cost your soul. My mother died waiting for freedom. Don't make the same mistake. Start living today. For Sara, for yourself, for every woman who never got the chance. If this story moved you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of survival, strength, and breaking generational cycles. Leave a comment. What would you tell Sara if you could speak to her today? Remember, you deserve a love that doesn't hurt.